Yeah.
I get excited.
Do
All
you?
wrapped up.
I wish you would do me that
I
way.
mean, I can bring a whole couple of ruffles in.
I can't do.
My caffeine.
Sleep.
Got it all out of the system yesterday.
Oh, good. Okay.
Check an ADHD, anything that's supposed to eat your first. It's supposed to wake you up and eat
All right, I've got 10 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order.
Just say we thank you for all that you provide for us every day. We pray that you bless our community. Thank you for the rain that we receive. We just ask for more in Jesus' name.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag, pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, thank you everybody for coming. At this time, any person with business before the court not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the court. No formal action can be taken on these items at this meeting. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. All right. Moving on to old business, court to discuss and consider introducing project schedule and second. I've got rain, so I'm putting your little blade in the roads.
We're trying to, but we got rain.
Yeah.
Some of you got rain. You didn't get any rain?
No.
You throw out your road riding machine.
No, we got a guy that's supposed to be coming to get trained on that particular machine. We've had it ready a couple of times and we've had some snafu happen. Brakes locked up on a truck, could not unlock them. Tried a different truck, would not work on it. Yeah, so we're getting there. Oh, absolutely. I'll give you a holler. You and Jeff Bucket. Sure. I'll see when the guy can be here. He's supposed to give me a call in the afternoon. Another thing we need to talk about is getting the debris out of that country club as soon as possible. I know we're also, our roads, because of the drought especially, are breaking up, and it's very difficult to keep ahead of them. But that's something that we do need to talk about and schedule so that we can all meet out there and get that hauled off. They're having all kinds of problems with debris blowing, with people pilfering through that. Before long, we'll have rats and rattlesnakes in those piles. And so
we have a tournament with kids out there first weekend of May.
it needs to be
You
going.
get done with it.
Absolutely. If y'all have a date,
I have snacks with it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I have snacks with it.
There you go.
the problem, somebody pilfering and getting dipped is my worry.
So Guilford, tell them they won't go to jail, so it's called something else.
Yes. The problem being that if you get sued for it because they got bit. A rat biting you would be bad enough. It's been out there for 5 weeks now. And so definitely, we just need to talk about a date and get it done. So y'all think next week sometime we can start? We don't have the time, but we're gonna have to take it. It's gonna take a couple of days. I know you are. We wanted to help you with that, and we're so far behind, we couldn't even do that. We have lots of breakage. So,
Let me get with jail.
Be there.
okay,
Get with jail.
I'll give it to
Do any particular day?
I'm sorry.
Any particular day that you want to start it?
There's no good day, so
I
let's
know,
just
pick a
start.
day.
Let's don't start on a Thursday. Let's start on,
No.
we get started, let's get it done.
Okay.
Well, that would be wonderful. You'll pay overtime, which we don't. Did you see Angela smile? She was looking at you, or you should have felt it. So, yeah, okay. that suits me. I mean, there's no good day. There really isn't.
Let's give it a form
Okay.
and see when they can work.
And I've been telling mine every day, they need to be talking, we need to get it done. There's no good time. I can name you a dozen things that we're behind on. That's 2 days of there.
Yeah, that's Monday and Tuesday.
Monday, Tuesday,
No,
Thursday.
Thursday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, there you go.
This week.
They hadn't got the load chiefs or anything out there yet.
They're not expecting us to do it.
Huh?
Are they expecting us to do it?
No,
They're
I
not.
don't get it.
Okay, I hadn't talked to her. I didn't know. Okay, that's something else we need to look at. I don't know.
Okay. So we can talk to the foreman.
Sounds good. Here we go.
Anything else?
No.
All right, thank you guys and ladies. All right, court consider bids on seal cutting gravel. We got one. Seal coating gravel, number 3, 25 a ton, number 4, 25 a ton, number 5, 25 a ton. And that's from Samuel Plant at O'Donnell.
Go ahead and make a motion that we accept the bid as read.
All in favor? Okay. Go ahead and move on to new business, and we're gonna skip around some today, because we have guests. I appreciate them all coming. Court to discuss and consider the tax abatement application of Cross Trails Energy Storage Project, LLC.
Thank you, sir. We have a presentation, Judge and Commissioners, for y'all. We can start.
All right.
I'll just give you an overview of the project and what we're bringing to Scurry County.
All right, we have Casey Persino and
Zach Procopio.
Zach Procopio. There you go. Show us what they're doing, or what they're wanting to do.
Again, my name is Zach Procopio, and thank you again for the time today. So this is our Cross Trails Energy Storage Project. I'm with Enel Green Power. We are planning to have a 60 megawatt filing for this project. It's a hybrid project, as you'll see up there, between a battery storage and a gravity storage, and we'll get more into both of those resources here in a minute. We're utilizing the Plainview substation out there, 20 miles outside of town here, east. Overall, we're going to have around a $50 million investment into the county through this, hybrid project. Just to kind of give you a look at what the project looks like and kind of more of the strategy behind this project. So we recently decommissioned our Snyder wind project out there, and we wanted to still use the capacity that was left on the substation that our project was using. So we felt like a battery storage project and gravity storage project would be the best fit out there. We get to use some of the same transmission facilities that were being used by the wind project. So not having to redo any of that work there. So like I said, we refiled for standalone battery storage and gravity storage interconnection filing. We're using a lot of that same old wind project leasehold and easements to get us there. It's about 20 acres under purchase option for this project, so it's a small footprint, but a big investment. So what is best? So battery energy storage systems, they allow energy to be stored and dispatched on demand. For the utility scale project like Cross Trails is, we use the lithium ion batteries, usually in containers, which all gets connected to the grid via that project substation. We also have quite a few different safeguards in place, and monitoring systems to make sure everything's running safely and efficiently during operations. This is a good graph here on how battery, works with the grid and, gets into your houses and businesses. This energy would be staying local here in Scurry County and maybe some of the surrounding So, the benefits of BESS, as we call it, the battery storage help mitigates any intermittency with all the wind projects y'all have out there, or, I know y'all are starting to get some solar projects as well. That helps whenever it's not producing as much power as it is in peak times, or if it's not producing at all, that battery helps mitigate that and keeps power onto the grid. And just helps stabilize the grid through load. So this is kind of a rough diagram of what they would look like, next to a normal person here. So you have the batteries inside, they have the container and the HVAC system on top to kind of keep it all climate controlled. And this is just kind of rough dimensions there that you see. So our experience, we have 20 plus battery storage projects in the US already, with more coming this year, becoming operational or even starting construction. So we have quite a bit of experience in the standalone battery storage, and we do also add battery storage to all of our wind and solar projects. So this isn't our first rodeo here, and you can kind of see a better picture, real life picture here of what those would look like in person. Like I mentioned before, we have real-time monitoring. So we have an on-base monitoring system and a off-site monitoring system, and those two are talking to each other every day, 24/7, making sure everything's running smoothly. If something does pop up that's out of the ordinary, it's real-time knowledge, so we know immediately when that happens, and we're able to get crews out there, or what have you. So everything's pretty state of the art. As you can see, this is kind of one of our normal best control rooms, so everything's pretty state of the art. We want to make sure everything's running smoothly and there's no issues. So sustainability. So these lithium ion batteries are recyclable. At the end of life for this project, we would be working with our contractors and our operation and maintenance consultants to find recyclable and reuses for the batteries, right? So we try to make sure everything goes full circle, and we're not just leaving materials out there. So we try to reuse everything that we can.
Or for recycling, are you able to reuse them once they're recycled?
Some of the cells could be reused, but other things could be recycled right into other products,
Okay. Not necessarily come back and be used for.
But the parts that may need to get recycled and can't be reused, they would be used for something else.
What about repurposing? Can they be used, those batteries be used for like homes?
For homes? I don't know the exact answer to that, but they are battery cells in them, so the ones that are good, I'm sure they could be used. Lithium batteries are used for a whole bunch of different things.
What's the life cycle?
So the life cycle here, we're anticipating 15 plus years on these batteries before any of them will need to be replaced. So,
Thank you.
and then next into the gravity storage. So I would hand it over to Casey here.
Thank y'all for having me. Appreciate it. So in addition to the BESS, we're also going to be installing a gravity energy storage solution. And this is just a quick overview of how the storage solution works. Y'all are all very familiar with it. Zach went over, it's the same as the batteries. This is a quick video here to show you exactly how our technology works.
Energy Vault creates gravity energy storage solutions to accelerate the global transition to renewable energy. The Energy Vault Resiliency Center is designed to balance energy delivered to the grid on demand. So how does the Energy Vault gravity-based storage work? Energy Vault gravity-based solutions employ a mechanical process to store and discharge electricity. When renewable energy generation is high, the EVRC uses that energy to raise 35-ton bricks to an elevated position. Potential energy that can be released under the right conditions, is stored in the elevation gate of the brick. When energy is needed, EVRC releases kinetic energy back to the grid via controlled lowering of the bricks under gravitational force. EVX is the modular building brick of the EVRC system that can be built to scale in increments of 10 megawatt units. To fulfill energy demand, to support grid resiliency, and manage energy disruptive climate events and extreme weather. The systems can be co-located with renewables and or built as standalone storage to support grid stability, designed to meet standard building codes and constructed utilizing locally sourced labor and recycled materials. Energy Vault, gravity-based energy storage are designed to power our lives and to enable a renewable world.
So that gives you a pretty good overview of what we're building here. So to give you an idea of this specific project, it's an 18 megawatt, 2-hour duration facility. It's gonna be roughly 50 meters by 72 meters, 147 meters tall, which is roughly 480 feet. So it's gonna be a quite big structure sitting out there amongst the wind turbines. It's gonna be built with the local EPC here. We're currently using Fluor, who's a major EPC company in the world. This facility the mobile masses, which are the concrete blocks you saw in the video, there'll be approximately 4,750 of them. And in the spirit of sustainability, there will be reused glass fibers from the wind turbine blades that will be encapsulated in these mobile masses so that we can continue to keep them out of the ground. In addition to the fixed frame, we have a lifting system, which is essentially at the top is a motor generator that's just lifting and lowering the elevators that have 2 of the 30-ton mobile masses in them for a total of 60 tons. And then, of course, the associated instrumentation and switchgear connections. This is what it looks like. This is the specific fixed frame that we're going to be building here. So you can see it's a rather tall building. At the top are the winches that I mentioned, along with the drive cabinets. And then you can see in the yellow are the elevators. And so at the top 8 floors are where mobile masses are stored whenever we are in full state, and then they're lowered to bring energy back to the grid at the bottom 8 floors. This is just another perspective, just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. And then lastly, another view, and then this is a rendering of what we think it'll look like once it's fully built out on the site. Any questions?
What is the efficiency of this as compared to other installations of batteries?
It's 100%.
100% efficiency.
Yes.
So you're using power to lift those elevators and those blocks with the elevators.
Yeah, so it's rough. I guess if you're asking round trip efficiency, I'm sorry. I was thinking degradation. I apologize.
No.
It's 85% round trip efficient. There's 100%. There's no degradation over the 30-year lifespan, which is a little different from the batteries, as you mentioned. Any other questions? All right. Well, y'all are an easy crowd. I'm sorry. I mean, I came like ready for just questions after questions. All right. Well, then,
I guess y'all approve this with FAA before you.
We have a
Yes.
filing
It's
with
really,
them.
really tall, right?
We have a filing with them currently.
Okay. And so they haven't said yes or no yet?
So it's going through the process, but from our talks with the consultant and the FAA, they haven't had any issues with it. And since it's like a solid structure that's not moving,
Right.
unlike the blades are turning, so it's a lot simpler of a filing.
And it's in the lower part of the area that you had wind turbines in.
Yes, sir.
What is the possibility once the supply chain, I assume part of the reason y'all aren't putting turbines back up is because of supply chain. Is that right? Or is it just not?
No, we just thought this would be a better fit out here. Our company really
saw a great potential here with the gravity storage and the BESS, and we thought this would be a great, first site for that.
Okay. And so there's no thought of future putting up more turbines?
As of now, no. But as you saw from the videos, the battery, we probably could repurpose these two projects, right, to help, mitigate anything from the wind project, right? So, but no, right now we're just thinking of this hybrid project.
And so any contractors that can be used locally, that you can use at all, you will use them during this project?
Yes, that's typically what Enel likes to do, and I'm sure Energy Vault, we're working closely with them, we'll be doing the same. We're all working together, right? So, but we do like to hire locally for the construction. And if we can find, even some permanent, people around here that can fill the permanent job as well. So,
And so would you please email me those contractors that you're utilizing or going to utilize as you get those bids in?
we can,
Project.
we can, when we get closer to construction, because we're still going through that whole
Yes.
tender process, But when we get closer, I can definitely send that to you. We can talk about it.
So does NL have any aspirations about solar?
We have solar, throughout the state, right, in the country. At this particular site, not currently.
Not right now.
Yes, sir.
You're at capacity with these two projects, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, Judge.
You're replacing basically the same amount of energy. And that's cutting edge.
Oh, I
That's
know.
like, how many are in the world?
This will be the first one.
So,
This will be project one. The Snyder will always be known as our first gravity-based energy storage solution.
is it proven technology?
It is in, as I mentioned, we have test beds in Switzerland where all the equipment is currently being tested. All of this stuff, all of our winches, motor winches have been used in other applications. This is the first application that a lot of this equipment's being used. But if you're familiar with storage container lifting, so it's the exact same thing. Our mobile masses are designed based essentially like a storage container, same size and dimensions, and we're using the same type motor generators that are used at the shipping container ports where they're lifted off the ships. So the cables, pulleys, all are strictly from that industry. So it's all proven equipment, just not in this particular application.
Okay, I guess, the kinetic energy creating electricity, is that a proven technology?
So have you heard of hydro?
Mhm.
So it's the same concept as the hydro
Okay.
storage.
So the cable somehow connect to a generator belts or something? and
Yeah,
As
so-
it falls, it turns the generators?
Yeah.
I'm assuming these are GE.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, so if you there's a motor, the motor winches sit on top with the cables or ropes, depending on what part of the world you're in, that are raising these, we call them elevators, but they're more like just a big, large cage. And then each cage carries 2 of the 30-ton mobile masses. And, in the spirit as Anil has mentioned, we're trying to help with this circular economy and sustainability. So they have some decommissioned wind turbine places, and we're taking those blades and we're grinding them up, and those will be encapsulated inside our mobile masses.
I guess for strength.
Not necessarily. It's just a way to dispose them as
So
responsibly as possible.
Recyclable.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. Because there really hadn't been a
There
good
hasn't,
recyclable way to get rid of them.
that's correct. Other customers we're looking at are possibly using coal ash. So we're talking to other customers about doing that. Essentially, our mobile mass design can pretty much take anything that no longer needs to be used and put them into that mobile mass, and it just helps add the weight and is encapsulated and is able to keep it out of our landfills, essentially.
So these blades, once they're ground up, are they compacted, so dense that they cause fiberglass isn't considered to be heavy?
It's the weight's really coming from the concrete that's encapsulated them.
Just a way to get rid of it.
It's just a way to recycle them
Recycle.
and keep them out of landfills is really what we're trying to
That's
do,
good.
and keep the circular economy going.
Well, I know Texas appreciates it because we're tired of our system
going down, or tide going down. It didn't happen that many times, but it's enough.
Well, I'm sure y'all felt the same pain. Brandon and I are both from Houston, and I don't know about y'all, but I went 4 straight days without power.
Yes.
And I learned that camping is not for me. And my husband learned that bathing, after not being able to bathe for 4 days, he didn't know if he really wanted to stay in the house with me. So, I'm sure we've all been there. So yes, I personally agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And coming from the natural gas industry, the fact that the prices went up so high and all of that, that's actually the reason I left the gas industry and came to work for Energy Vault. I saw this as an excellent opportunity to kind of, help our children and get to a point where we can store some of this energy. I mean, it's got to be generated somewhere, but at least if we can store it and can help people, that's really what we want to do. So, and we're very excited about this opportunity here. We were able to spend the night here last night and drive around, and it looks like an excellent place. You were speaking of contractors. I'm going to give you my card when I'm done. If you have some local contractors that y'all know, please feel free to email me. And we want to utilize the workforce here as much as possible, because we're based out of Houston, and we want to get as much skilled local contractors that know the area, that can help us be successful and meet our time and schedule that we need.
What is the time schedule that you're looking at?
So construction, we're hoping September, right? Begin and then have everything fully operational by, for the end of March in 2024. So everything will be fully operating. That's for both of these hybrid projects, right? So everything will be working together to get to that end goal. But yeah, we're thinking fall this year. So it'll be a quick turnaround, for our investment. Yeah.
That's just too cool. And I keep saying we need all forms of energy.
Oh, we did. So maybe quit exporting it out of the United States.
Exactly.
Start keeping some of it.
We agree. Thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
I don't know if anyone else would like to.
I will email you if you'll give me a list of the types of contractors that you need, just email me back.
Sure, that'd be fantastic.
And then we can figure out who.
I've got one, thank you.
We would love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
For future generations.
I don't know if y'all would like to remind it. Thank you. I only have about 1,000 of these.
I'm excited to know we're the first.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I did have one other question for you.
Go ahead.
If this project is successful, being it's the first one in the US, is there potential for phase 2, phase 3 in that location, or is this just a one-time build for being up?
Right now it just depends on what the local grid looks like and the capacity, right? But we do have strong appetite for West Texas, and obviously, we've been in this county with our wind project, and we're trying to bring this new project here, so we like Scurry County, so there's always that possibility, but right now I can't give you a definitive
For
answer.
instance, if a couple more solar farms are built, another wind farm or two with more generation capacity, would that increase the need for that battery storage?
It always increases that need, because sometimes those projects do produce more than what they're actually putting out, and you have to need a place to store it for when they're not producing anything, and you need to put some out there, so.
We could probably give you some locations.
I'm always open to hear that, so.
As we talked before, we're all about energy, all types of energy. And I would love to see any kind of production or manufacturing or
Oh, yeah.
anything that goes along with that.
I know that's a lot of hunger to get, megawatts in the ground, and get your projects going, so.
Do you have an estimate of how many people will be working there once it's completed?
Once complete, 4 people.
The monitoring station?
So they'll be maintaining everything, and so they'll be on site to monitoring for both projects. We're thinking about 4, maybe 3, but
Your presentation said something about also off-site monitoring, so.
Yeah, so we have people, across the, in different offices across the country that are tasked with making sure everything is monitored. Like I said, it's real time, so our on-site systems are talking with them on, the off-site systems, and it's all connected, and we know, what everything's doing in those containers and, for the gravity as well, so.
Are they in Texas? Off-site system?
No, I don't think they're in Texas. We're starting to get more office. We have an office in Houston, in Austin now, so we're starting to get more people down here.
Good.
Yeah.
Anything that we need to? All right.
Discuss and if the court so chooses, then we'll talk about timelines.
What do you think? You want to approve the application?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Make a motion that we approve the tax abatement application for Cross Trails Energy Storage Project, LLC.
I guess I'm the only one that needs to vote then. All in favor?
You're fine.
Awesome. It's fantastic. I'm excited. This is, I love this. This is.
So then, Judge, at the next meeting, the court will then start talking about timeframes, setting public hearings for both the reinvestment zone. We need to get the names of the owners of the property, et cetera, for our public notices, set the reinvestment zone, public hearing, negotiate the terms of the tax abatement, so we can send those notifications out to the other taxing entities, as well as set another public hearing. And that, just as a reminder, that one has to be at least 30 days out, published in the newspaper, at least 30 days out.
Got all
You can watch the video.
We'll, I'll get with you.
Okay.
So
We have the names already that was on the presentation, so Grady,
Okay.
Nona, Carl Williams are the people that own the property.
Cool. So that part's done and easy. Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much. Really appreciate y'all coming
Thank you
in.
for hosting us.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you again.
We do want someone to take us around and show us the project once it's finished.
Oh, definitely.
In process too.
Yeah.
Or in process too, yeah.
Are you volunteering to climb the top?
Oh, yeah. Be glad to. I'll ride the elevator.
I'm about to say. Yeah, at any point during the construction,
Awesome.
we're welcome to bring y'all out there and show you how we're doing.
Okay.
No issues with that.
Sounds great.
I don't know that I'll be going to the top.
Oh, yeah.
Can I go back and look? Can I come back? Okay.
Absolutely you can.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty of Google Earth pictures too, once it starts
Oh,
going.
yeah.
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, it'll be on our website, because this will be the first one, so there'll be many of progress pictures out on the World Wide Web, so. I just really appreciate it.
Locals will make sure that it's on Facebook. Spotify, yeah,
Right.
no doubt.
As long as there's no one going at night climbing to the top. Had some issues with that at our test bed in Switzerland. We got some crazy Germans that went to the top on Instagram.
Were they rappelling off or parachuting off?
They were rappelling,
Rappelling?
yeah,
Oh,
so,
my goodness.
needs to say there will be 24-hour security out there during the construction.
I assume there'll be chain link fence
There
around
will
the
be a
project.
fence.
Yes, sir.
And there's already a fence, but it'll probably be much more, substantial.
Right, yeah, makes sense.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thank y'all.
Thank you
You're
very
more than
much.
welcome to stay, but you don't have to.
I would appreciate it, but Southwest has already delayed our flights.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try to figure those out, but thank you again for hosting
Thank
us.
you.
I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
All right, skipping around again, we're gonna talk with Doug about, court is discussing, consider revised RFI for broadband infrastructure provider. How you doing, Doug?
Doing well, sir, thank you.
Good.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So, I guess, basically what you have before you is kind of the next phase of our broadband internet infrastructure program. We're going out for a request for information from potential suppliers of broadband internet. We have done the surveying, we've got all the information now where we can provide detailed engineering to these providers. We have a list of probably about 4 right now that have already contacted us, expressed interest in coming here and providing services. We've outlined a program. It's by no means set in stone in that RFI. We're looking for a partner. So we want to bring them in as soon as we can, so that as we progress on to the next phase, which will be the funding phase, we have everybody on board. And then we're ready to, as they say in the industry, get shovel ready when we get funding. So this is a notice of request for information. It will be published, follow normal procurement procedures, and we'll get the request for information. RFIs are different than RFPs. RFIs bring in information. There's no pricing or cost associated with this. We are looking for a partner that will look to invest in our project, not that we're going to invest in them. So just need to make sure the city council did approve the RFI last night in their council meeting. With your approval, then we'll proceed to the next step of publishing and requesting proposals.
Can we have a seat at the table?
Absolutely. Yes, I'm sorry. You will have a seat at the table, to select that best applicant.
Any questions? Thoughts, concerns?
Let's get it done.
This is basically just the next step in preparation, having all our ducks lined up so they're not drifting off and going in different directions. We want to be prepared whenever that money hits the ground, so.
Would y'all make a motion that we approve the RFP for broadband application?
That's it.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Doug. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Once again, you're more than welcome to stay, but you don't.
I understand. I'm going to stay.
All right. Yeah. All right, court to discuss and consider a phone system with Elevate Pro and Visual Edge IT is going to be presenting that. And we have John Leiter. And
Come on, guys.
Good morning, Doug.
You want to come see me?
Absolutely.
Good morning, Commissioners Court.
Good morning.
How are y'all?
Very well. How are you? I'm not too bad. Thank you.
Before he really gets into this, we've been looking at different phone systems because we've had so many problems with Mitel. Jeremy and I have met with and looked at several different ones, and this looks like it might be the best solution that we could find. And let them let John get into what it's all about.
Thank you. As you said, John Leiter, Wayne Garrett. So just a little housekeeping to start off with. You're going to see Benchmark Business Solutions up there at the top. You might be familiar with them. They do the copiers and printers here at the courthouse. They are owned by a much larger corporation called Visual Edge IT. And so you'll hear me, if I talk about either one of those, Benchmark or Visual Edge IT, it's the same organization. So if you will go to page 3, first 2 pages are just what I call boilerplate language or fluff. So you can read those later. The first part here that I'm going to jump into is called the VoIP. When I say VoIP, that's a voice over internet protocol, statement of work. And this would be, if you guys decided to move down the road with this, what we would do is have a project kickoff meeting to where you guys would be, the county would be assigned a project manager, and then also a customer success manager, and then myself to oversee the project. Because typically when you're doing something of this size, the first thing you run into, or the first place to trip up on our first dance together, is that onboarding process, and we want to try and take that completely out of the table. So we do that by assigning different folks to different tasks, and just makes it a lot smoother. The one thing we will do, if this is approved, and we talked with Jeremy and the judge about this, we'll come onto each location and we run what is called a network scout. So what that does is we'll put that on each site, run it for 3 or 4 days, and we'll make sure that your network, your internet is strong enough to handle this phone system. Last thing we want to do is come in and have you guys invest this money in the phone system, and you don't have the internet bandwidth to handle that. And so that network scout will be ran at each location. It gives us information back to our facility. Our technicians analyze that and say, yeah, you got plenty, or no, we need you to increase that bandwidth, and that's a conversation we can have at that point to do that. So I don't want to get too geeky here on you, but we talked a lot of this stuff with Jeremy. You have to have a router or a firewall or switch with quality of service. And so what quality of service is, if you look at a pipe and that's your internet, you want a portion of that traffic for nothing but the phone system. Because when we have people on the phones, we don't want them to have what's called jitter or latency, where the phone call's interrupted, you can't hear each other, it has a delay. And so what quality of service does is says, we're going to take this part of the pipe and put that off of the phone. That way, at the end of the day, hope I don't get anyone in trouble when people are on Facebook and doing some other stuff, but that's not eating up your.
They're hearing Scurry.
I didn't think so. So, but it's not eating up your phone bandwidth. And so, but with the equipment that they have, and we've talked about that with Jeremy, you guys should be good on that. So, other considerations not currently included in this project are overhead paging system, faxing through a physical machine, fire alarm lines, credit card terminals, and replacement of your existing internet service. Those are all things we can help on if needs be, but we can discuss that at a later time. You'll go to page 4. I'm going to skip most of that and just go right down to the bottom. So your phone system support will start with us. So we do not outsource any of our technicians. This will be an internal badged benchmark / Visual Edge IT employee. So they're all based here in Texas. Either most of them are in Austin or Houston. We have some in Lubbock, some in Abilene, but your support will come from within our organization on the phones. So the rest of the stuff on that page is just stuff that Jeremy will understand. So you'll go to page 5. So gonna hammer on this page because during our conversations with Jeremy and the judge, the one thing they kept hitting on was the need for good support for county employees and for the phone system. So what distinguishes Visual Edge IT from the rest, and it's the way we handle our service calls. A lot of times when you call in for help on the phone, you get what's called a level 1 person. If that level 1 person can assist you, then you get bumped up to a level 2, then a level 3. With ours, we try and do what's called one-hop issue resolution. So if you call in with a problem and it's something that our level 1 cannot help with, it's a level 3 problem, you're going to get sent to that level 3 problem. You're not going to have to talk to 2 different people to get to that level, because all it's going to do is frustrate the caller, frustrate the county, and then that means I'm getting a call that I have to come out here and hopefully calm the judge or Jeremy down. So don't want to have to do that too often. So that's what sets us apart really is the support you're going to get. So I don't know if you've heard of the J.D. Power Awards, but the company that supports us and backs us has been on that list for 5 years running. So really hang our hat on support.
Customer service.
Customer service. Yeah, I mean, most of the phone systems nowadays, I would love to tell you that our phone's going to be better or all that, but a phone system is pretty much a phone system. But where we're going to shine is on the support. So. Go to page 6. There at the top, end user experience. So the first, kind of go to the third bullet point, but there's 7 US data centers. What that means to you guys is there, it's spread out across the United States. And so if something happens in a certain a certain area, we have 6 other data centers that we can put your phone data, your infrastructure to back that up at. So that's always going to be safe. The second thing is the county will be financially backed with what's called 5 nines of uptime. So 99.999% uptime guaranteed. If it's an issue that has been created by us or Elevate Intermedia, and it goes down for any certain amount of time, you guys will get that back, financially back. So whether credit to your bill or money sent back to the county, so they do back it that way. Everyone is hopefully getting used to this terminology, but the cloud, your information in the cloud will be backed by it's called a SOC. That's a Security Operations Center, Type 2 audited cloud. So these meet government standards, city standards. I know you have a sheriff's office, and it'll satisfy all those requirements as well. So any questions so far as we're going along?
You said if one of these centers is wiped out by a tornado or something, ours would be linked to a different data center.
Correct.
So you have a maximum capacity of those that are linked to that data center at this particular moment. And so once you exceed that percentage, I'm assuming you build another data center somewhere.
Correct.
And so what is that capacity?
That I would have to get an answer for you on capacity.
That is latent capacity.
Yes.
You know, waiting for someone else to be able to use that data center because the other data center has been wiped out.
With the 5 nines, it definitely does kind of stand up for that. If there is downtime, it's very small, you know? And so I think at the end of the day, with the amount of data centers they have, they've shown that, you know, the redundancy is there to support whomever we take on.
Just seems like we're getting more and more horrible weather that is causing tremendous amount of tornadoes in a lot of different places that we haven't seen in the past. And so with that, it's going to be important to have, you may have 2 data centers, 3 data centers wiped out simultaneously.
Yeah.
The way weather's going these days. And so especially, man, there's floods and lightning. There's so much.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
So yeah.
And there's 3 more globally as well. So they're outside of the United States. But, hopefully, we're have to go that route.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, hopefully just be on our cell phones that day.
Yeah. So getting down into the actual numbers on the proposal and talking with the judge and Jeremy, they determined that they would like 3 Bluetooth wireless headsets. But those are just something that people who are high phone users are able to put on their ear. Have a awesome range, probably anywhere throughout the courthouse. They'd be able to go and have that on their ear, answer calls, hang up on calls. So 3 of those at $184, 41 a piece for $553.23. On this, I'm just going to tell you right now, Scurry County is a priority for us. I love working with counties because I like the structure of it. And so in that spirit, was able to, the 100 phones, the county will be getting those for free. So each one of those phones, typically, if you look at the MSRP on that, is anywhere from $200 to $250. And so just off the jump, that's a $20,000 value or savings to the county. So with those phones, and it's a nice phone as well. It's not, I'm not giving you what we call a boat anchor. So it's a nice phone that you'll be happy and one that I can walk around and be proud about if I come back to the county and not get chased out of town.
So have you seen our phones that we have now? Are they comparable to that?
Yes, yep, absolutely.
They're wireless and Bluetooth, these new ones, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of them are just Bluetooth, are actually just Bluetooth now, or wireless now, right, pardon me, backwards, but it does have both functions at the same time, so.
So I could actually join them to my Bluetooth if I
That's right.
wanted to.
Yep, and I'm gonna be jumping to that in just a minute to tell you what it can do.
Okay.
So, and,
Sorry, I beat you there, John.
oh, no, you're good, you're good. So if you'll go to page 7, we're actually now getting into, the monthly service for this. So the Elevate Pro, platform that I'm, recommending from the county would be, $2,350 per month. That currently comes in about, I believe, right around $50 less than what you guys are paying right now. And then I apologize, I didn't get this information till this morning, so the judge and Jeremy don't even know about this yet. But I was able to have another $100 taken off the monthly fee. So you can cross that out and put $22.50 on your paperwork. So as I said before, Scurry County is a top priority for me. Would love to continue working with you guys, and I want to create a win-win relationship to where we both come out ahead. So anything I can do to do that, you'll get it. With this plan, you get to unlimited local and free long distance in the US and Canada. I'm not going to hit all the bullet points, but there are remote phones, which we'll get to in a minute, Commissioner. It has a full feature set, including caller ID, call transfer, call waiting, and call parking. There's an auto attendant available. So someone calls in, everyone's tied up, the auto attendant can kick in and say, if you're looking for the county judge, press 1. If you're looking for the county auditor, press 2. So that's the auto attendant. Yes, and then my favorite is the voicemail with transcription and audio to email. Someone leaves a voicemail, it can be sent to your email. You can pull it up on your email. So it's an awesome feature. Voice over IP and user support. So Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Anytime you call in for assistance on this phone, that's included in its cost. So doesn't matter if you're on the phone for 10 minutes or 2 hours, that is covered inside of that. So a billable event or you guys getting an invoice would be anything after hours or anything on the weekend. So again, just want to hit on, we do not outsource our phone support. It is going to be someone that's internal to our organization and an employee. So I like that we don't have to rely on a third-party vendor.
Let me ask you about something, Joe.
Yes, sir.
It took me looking at Jason, thinking about EMS being all hours and Sheriff's Department being all hours. After hours and weekends, if they had an issue, EMS or Sheriff's Department, would that be billable as well? Or could that be something that's worked out?
My first answer is going to be yes, that it's billable.
Right.
But give me 24 hours and I might have a different answer for you.
Okay.
So I've done this enough with counties to know that police departments and sheriff's facilities.
It's kind of the exception, because they can't help it.
So,
Right.
so they've got to be up at all times. So let me do some digging on that.
Okay.
And I'll let you know.
All right, thank you.
If billable, what would be the rate?
Typically $125 an hour.
Okay. So much for every 15 minutes or?
Yeah, we'll break it down to the quarter hour.
Okay.
Yep. Apologize for taking notes if I don't write it down. It didn't happen.
So I guess this building, I know it's a little off topic, but the NL structure, that'll be the largest structure, the tall structure here in the county.
Physically, yeah, other than windmills. Windmills might.
They're about 300.
Yeah, so it'd be taller
I
than.
think it's gonna be taller.
I was trying to see by their scale.
That's why I'm concerned about it.
I think he was talking, I think he said at the top of the blade would be about the same height.
I think it's still gonna be taller.
That would be 400.
420 feet.
Yeah.
How tall
That tower.
How tall are the windows at the
I
top?
think 360 is probably the
Okay.
maximum.
Well, this is a big deal. Like, we want to take care of the county. I mean, phones is what we've been using longer than anything. And these new ideas that are coming into there are pretty groundbreaking and pretty interesting to walk in after.
Yeah.
And, you know, we felt like we're coming in and asking for a lot, you know, and at the end of the day, we're really excited for you guys to have it. But after following, you know, a concrete structure that's going to use kinetic energy to be able to supply us in emergency times, this might be, you know, in the day we need to be able to call each other in this instance.
Absolutely. I think 4.5 megawatts.
It's a fresh take for you guys.
They're really tall.
Yeah.
I'll have to find out.
So we're gonna get into the meat and the really cool things of this system and what you asked, Commissioner.
Okay.
So, on this system, it has a mobile app that you can put on your phone. And so what that means is you don't have to give out your cell number anymore, for county business, things like that, 'cause I know that's, been a big, I don't wanna say scare, but there's some legal ramifications for county employees using their cell phone. But what this app does, put it on your phone and it'll look just like you're placing a call from your office. Or someone can call in, you can answer it from your cell phone and it looks like you're from your office. So that goes on everyone's mobile app. The great thing is if you're on a call on your mobile phone, you walk into the building and now you want to get off your mobile phone, your cell phone, you want to take it onto your work phone, it'll transfer seamlessly to that new call. So that'll, and I'll go over this again in a second, but you can do the same thing with your workstation. You can place a call from your workstation. You have to have a headset for that. It's a soft phone, we call it, that's on your workstation that you can use just as well. So you can easily listen on your cell phone and view your transcribed voicemails. Like I said, seamlessly flip your desk phone to your mobile device without any interruptions. So you're on your desk phone, you realize you're late for an appointment, it can go right to your mobile phone, and you don't have to hang up on the call. It'll just transfer over and keep you on the call while you're there, so.
Unless you go into a hole
Well,
on the way.
I can, yeah, there's different parts around
Lots of those.
West Texas where I'm driving, and I'm like, before I even get there, I'm like, I'm on the loose here. So I'll call you back. Yeah, I wish I could solve that. So if you'll go to page 9.
Right.
This again is what I just talked about, the desktop app. We also call it a soft phone, but it's really neat. You can bring it up on your monitor and you can operate your phone from there. You can see who's on the phone. So let's say a county judge wants to call one of the commissioners. If he's here in the building, he can see if he's on his phone or not. It'll give you a little cue. There's a chat messaging feature on the phone as well. So when you guys need to get the judge, he's on the phone, you can send him a little chat through the system. So again, you can transfer calls. This will sync with Microsoft Outlook, Office 365, and Google across all your devices. So
Talk about the Teams aspect of that. That was part of the discussion as well.
correct. So this has 2 different features. You can either integrate with Microsoft Teams. I don't know how familiar all of you are with Teams, or you could go to a complete Teams platform that will support both of those. But yeah, just the ability to web conference, to have chats, to have just a conference line to call in on. So it will support both Teams, and like I said, you can do your whole Teams app if you want to.
Well, if I'm just gonna add a little snippet, once all employees are all, you know, people within the county that are active users, you're each gonna have essentially your own profile, and you're gonna have your own, you know, person, so to speak. You'll have a little, just like we do at all of our applications, maybe Facebook or whatever it is. So right then you can just shoot messages amongst each other. You can make a video chat. I mean, it's just like our phones that we use today, but essentially in an office setting.
The message would be hidden from anyone that you weren't chatting with.
It, direct message, or you can make a group chat, or if you're needing to send out memos, you can make groups.
So it can be private.
And they're still open to the public meeting, or not, public meetings.
I might want to talk about my own.
Public records act.
Just don't do what I've done and send the private message to the group chat.
Yeah.
That's problematic.
Yeah, right.
So, page 10, we kind of already covered the top part, collaboration for all users, but it's just an online, you can do any type of online meeting. So the web conferencing, conference calls, the integration with Teams. Down to the bottom to taxes, you'll see that that's a zero amount. That's not what it'll end up being, but until we have an approved agreement with the county, that's when the FCC will go in and figure out your guys' taxes and fees. So,
Do you know that if governments or local governments are exempt from those taxes?
you're exempt from some of them,
Some of them.
but it's, if I should, and you may have already seen them, if I went in and showed you how they figure out the taxes and
Well, they
fees on
even go
these
to the
things.
phone lines, like depending on where the phone line is based at, whether it's that side of the county, this
It's
side.
like
of the
doing with
county.
the IRS.
There's like 18 line items per number in there. And so, for us to come in here and provide a number, I just wouldn't have confidence in what that would be, so.
There's all kinds of fees.
They'll figure it out. It'll be different from one county to the next.
Go to page 11 if you would. So this would be a one-time implementation fee of $10,886. This would include your account setup within our system, and then you would implement 100 phones on 12 locations. And then also the port activation fee, which is taking your old numbers that you have so you can keep them and not have to change any numbers and port them over to the new phone service. This is a turnkey solution, so when our techs walk off site, it should be set up how you guys want it. So should be up and running. Typically, the cutover that we get is usually, that's going to be the longest wait on this, is getting the porting date from them. Once we have the porting date, we will come on site and actually have the phone set up on your desk and on your locations for probably a day or two. They'll just be sitting there ready to go. And then when we have that cutover date, that's usually anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to cut that over, and then you should be right back up and running. But we'll have technicians on site here for that switch over, for that cutover, to make sure everything goes smooth. What we typically do is come in and do it on a Friday during your lunch hour, or if there's a day where, because county has a few more days off than we do, and we can come on site on a day that you're off and do that cutover as well. If there's a time coming up that meets both of our schedules. So.
Let me ask you about one other thing, one other aspect. So, sometimes, the judges will do off-site magistration. So they'll magistrate from their office to the jail. Would this system be able to have that capability where they could, I'm assuming it would if it has Teams. And
Casting to like a television for them to.
Yeah.
For the
Or
inmate.
if there was a monitor that they
Absolutely.
with the phone.
Yes.
That it could work for that.
We would just have a user there at the, where they're doing
Okay.
the person, yeah, this.
Okay.
We did that at a previous county, and I haven't gotten permission to mention it, so I
That's
won't mention, but we did it at a previous county where the judge, this all started during COVID, where he would get on his laptop with a video camera and do his stuff, and it would go to the jail, and we had a laptop set up there, and yeah, they were able to do anything basically electronic, face-to-face.
Okay.
So with this
Like a computer sitting on your desk.
yeah, with this app, if the ISP goes down, is it possible to use cell phone data to answer your phone?
That's the beautiful thing about this system is, and you asked the question that most people ask right at the front, well, aren't we relying on the internet for our phone system? Yes, you absolutely are. But if the internet goes down, you just switch to your cell phone and all 100 users can switch to their cell phones, and you're right back up and running. So, yeah, you're always, there's always going to be a way to conduct county business with this system. So, any questions on that? Don't want to go too fast, but page 12. So just the summary, the one-time fees, the headsets for $553.23, implementation fees of $10,840.86 for a total of $11,394.09. And then you will get the monthly investment, which is the ongoing. This is basically your phone bill. Would be the $2,250, which is the new amount, and then whatever comes about of taxes once we get that squared away. So, and then per our conversation, Judge, I was able to get a 1 month free upfront as well. So during the transition that we don't want you guys paying 2 phone bills.
Gotcha.
So but I got that approved as well, the 1 month free. So, and page 13, my favorite page, the signature page, so that speaks for itself.
Talk about technology, voice over IP versus cable and phone lines. Technology, we had that conversation about going back to phone lines or cable lines.
Right.
Can you kind of talk about where that is?
And why they
Pluses and minuses, why we would want to go stay with this voice over IP instead of, or are there any benefits to going back to phone lines or?
That's a question for the county auditor.
So the one thing people are nervous about VoIP for 2 reasons. Number one, anytime we mention the cloud, people just hate hearing, at least I did at the start as well, like, what is the cloud? So what the cloud is just another facility that's not here where your stuff is stored. So once I got that out of my head that it wasn't going up in the sky somewhere where it's lost forever, but it's just going to another facility. And then the other thing that concerns people is, and this is a real technical term, so stay with me. And a telephone, just our old telephones were called POTS lines, POTS, plain old telephone system. People loved how consistent old telephone lines were. But now with VoIP and being able to switch from what we talked about, going from an internet provider to being able to switch to your cell phone, in all reality, this VoIP system is more reliable than a plain old telephone line. Because if a telephone line gets cut, it's still a single point of failure. Your phones are going to go down. And at that point, there's nothing you can do to get your phones back up until that phone line is fixed. With ours, if the internet goes down, you just switch to your cell phone. So, and then the other thing, the biggest difference, so if I were to come in here and propose, and just because I know them so well, if I were to come in here and propose an on-premise Cisco phone system, your capital outlay up front would comfortably say $100,000. And then to run that system, you will need to hire another Jeremy to come on site and operate that system. So they're that detailed. One of our technicians showed me what it took to go through on a Cisco phone system and change the greeting compared to our VoIP system. I got lost in what he was trying to show me on the Cisco one. Ours, it's like a 3 or 4 step process to go in and switch that greeting. So just operability, we're not going to be putting a ton of work on Jeremy's plate for him with this phone system. And so, but yeah, just the reliability, it is there. And then the difference in cost of easily over $100,000 as compared to you don't have any hardware with this except for your phones on your desk. With the Cisco system, they'll have versions that you need to update to. every 2 or 3 years. And those versions don't come free. So you have to pay for those to be upgraded. You have to pay for the version, you have to pay for the work to have that done. With this phone system, if something new rolls out, it's a matter of asking the county, do you guys want this? Yes, absolutely. And it's created. So it's a lot easier. So just manageability, operability, and cost.
Just about got it, but I mean, my biggest thing is like the last 2 years of what all we've been through in mankind and the availability to be able to pivot with this system too. Whereas you pour $100,000 as a county into a system that was good how many years ago? So just the availability for you to be able to pivot the next little thing that comes our way, we don't know what it is. We're already planning for the tallest building to be an energy structure here in town because of these worries. So, why not have a system that can do the same?
And if someone, let's say someone gets hurt at work and they have to work from home for a month, you can take their desk phone, take it to their house, and it'll work from their house, and it'll look like they're calling from a county line. So, and it's Wi-Fi, so you can either have it run off your Wi-Fi at your house, or you can plug it directly in with the Cat5 cable, and they're up and running. So, the judge had asked me if I could come up with a 3 to 5 minute video. Anything I could find was going to be too techy.
Gotcha.
And then the gentleman that was going to do one for me is homesick. And so if anyone is interested, we can do it'd be about a 5 to 10 minute video of the actual phone system and how it operates. And not the techie side of it, more of the operator side and some of the features. So but I can do that at a later date. So sorry we couldn't do that today.
You don't have a YouTube channel?
It probably is, but I would rather have one of my guys on there that you can ask questions to. So,
My son,
but yeah, if there's no other questions,
Jeremy, do you have any input?
Yeah, there was something, that I was trying to think of earlier. And I'll come back to you when I think of it. I had thought of it, now I can't remember what it was.
Well, who's thinking, how long y'all been in the training business?
approximately 34 years,
Large.
give or take. So we have the two gentlemen that'll be coming up here to help me do the onboarding, have both been in it for over 20 years. So my manager, who I hope can make it today, but he's in Florida, has been doing phones for 17 years. So there's a ton of experience.
How many counties do you have in Texas that are using your phone system?
Let's see, in Texas, you guys would be the first. I can get a list for you because we have offices basically nationwide. I think it's in 28 states. So I can get a list.
Thanks.
Lots of school systems. We're working with a couple of local ISDs right now. Getting ready to get them implemented and such. Mark Karras, who is the gentleman he's referencing out of Houston, his big thing, as I've been working with him and getting these phone systems, shown to our customers, is that there's a lot of companies that jumped into the business because it was a cool, fun thing to do. VoIP was, well, then as soon as it got technical and sticky and annoying and everything that they didn't want to have to deal with, well, they got out and they just made it a part of what they did. Whereas our team down in Houston, the big name that he's referencing, Mark, who unfortunately had other things going on in Florida this week with our company, he's been our steady person, and our engineers are on the ground out of Houston, same as NL, but they're the ones who've been doing this the most, for this amount of time. So
some people just hang out a shingle with cell phones so they don't miss out on the business. We have a whole phone division within Visual Edge IT. That's all they do is phones. They don't do anything else.
And I think y'all had tested one about it, and one of the biggest things we use here is auto attendance, and its lack of flexibility has been a problem here. And pretty much, if it's not an option with your program, y'all can present that to your programmers, right? And see if they can implement what we think we might see that we need. Is that possible?
Correct,
Right,
yes,
okay, that's what I
yes.
thought, okay.
So Intermedia Elevate Pro, so we partnered with on our phones, and we are their largest partner. So we have a lot of input, and when we speak up, they'll listen for sure.
Right, and we can continue to use either whoever wants to use their voice to record the auto attendant message, or we can use a voice generated text and voice generation, right? And that's
Correct.
free, no extra charge.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
Whereas we have to pay a pretty big or something if we want to use that service through my job.
And so I've been, and I'm sure you have too, been getting complaints about phone systems for a while. And one of the biggest complaints was always customer service.
That's it.
And anybody that we talked to really couldn't say that their customer service was much better, correct, Jeremy?
Right.
With John and Lane, that has always been right there, the a level of customer service just with these guys makes me comfortable with this system. We still do have Mitel until it's the end of this year, but we can get out of that contract if we need to. I don't remember the exact details of it, but
It probably cover the cost, wouldn't it?
it might. I'd have to double check. That's a possibility.
Speaking of cost, I was in the auction's office whenever we first started with the smartphones.
Mhm.
And I think it was, I think they were AT&T, something like that. Anyway, it cost $40,000 then. I can't believe this price. Did something would go down.
I was gonna say, is it too high?
Yeah, let's cut it. No, I'm impressed.
And customer service is definitely the reason I wanted to visit with some of these other people that you've got in Texas that are using, whether it's ISDs or counties or whatever it may be. They're gonna tell us they're happy with your customer service.
Sure.
And that's number one for me. I mean, hardware is hardware. But if you can't get it to work,
Well,
it's not working.
It's gonna break, something's gonna go wrong, so how do we fix it in that moment? Like, for the record, I'm the MFP or the multifunction printer representative for this area, and I take care of Scurry County. And things are gonna go wrong on our Xerox. As we all know, there's always been something happen, you're always jamming this, that, the other. And Xerox is a big company, but who can fix it whenever it happens, So, and hopefully we've stayed true to that customer service backing and make sure we're available for you guys. That same type of service is what I want to provide doing this. We're groundbreaking. We're not building a tall structure in Scurry County, but we are groundbreaking. We do want to do something that hopefully y'all can be proud of.
You would like that building.
I do. Yeah. I do. Yeah. I can tell.
Yeah, I'd like to tell you our phone is special and it's gonna make you popcorn while you're on calls. A phone's a phone. It's what happens when it breaks or when your system goes down, and how do we respond to that?
Have you convinced Elon Musk that this is the phone system for him yet, since he's here in Texas?
He's
Oh,
about
I
9%
just
of our
missed
company.
a call while I was presenting Elon, so I'll be talking to him in the hall.
They would take a call and hear somebody, and they hear us. I mean, every day, we can't hear people. We answer the phone, they can't hear us, we can't hear them, and it's just a constant every day.
That's all those guys want. You got a warranty on your car.
Yeah.
You're doing good.
No, I mean, just getting to where that's acceptable, unacceptable for this county.
Absolutely.
So, it's the opposite of love, and that's being content with what you have, so.
You said 5 years, JD Power Associates,
Mhm.
customer service?
Correct.
No, I'm sorry. I was just gonna ask about, so it's upgradable. At some point, it's not going to be. So what do we do then? How do we get new phones once the life cycle of these particular phones are gone? Because like I said, you don't know what's coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
for a while, it's gonna work.
Mhm.
But at some point, you gotta go from Windows 10 to 11, even if you don't want to. So what is is that something that you faced yet?
That would be your one upgradable item,
Okay,
or one cost,
okay,
would be upgrading the phone.
that's needed.
Correct.
I mean, it's just like buying a cell phone. After 5 years, you gotta go back to AT&T and get a
Yeah.
new one, right?
And they're not going down.
Or, I mean, and if you keep it for 7 years, right? So you're just, people look at you, you got the iPhone.
I
what?"
mean, yeah.
How long's the contract?
36 months.
I would like to talk to some people that they have their systems.
Yes.
Not that I don't believe you, but we got into that and now we have Mitel. So I would like to talk to them.
Yes, sir, me too. Absolutely.
If I had someone here that could speak to the system, they could say 2 sentences and it beats what I've been talking about for the last 30 minutes. So I get it.
Yeah.
I'll get you a list and
Thank
Thank you.
for sure.
That's something, yes, John, but
Not a-
that's how we need to do it.
Absolutely.
No, it's a big investment and I mean, hopefully it's a phone system that you guys don't have to do anything with for 8 years.
Be nice.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, every 8 years, it takes, 24, 32 years to get there to that 40.
Right?
Just get that information.
Yeah.
To you and we'll
Yeah, and I'll get it to,
get it out to.
absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Sport. Appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Have a good day. Thanks, John.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, the city had it, and that's what we were basing it on.
Yes.
Different apples and oranges, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Somebody that
yeah,
don't.
yeah, exactly. All right, court to consider completing a local order to ensure that all required actions related.
I don't take one now.
Yes, we're gonna take one, I'm sorry.
No action taken.
No action taken. We'll revisit it. Court to consider completing a local order to ensure that all required actions related to the constitutional amendment special election to be held May 7th, 2022 have been completed.
Lori, that's why Lori's here.
All right, Melody. Now we have to order a special election. So, and that is May 7th.
Yes. And the second page. Oh, that page.
So, ordered by the governor. So we really say we're not going to. Is that the smart move?
But the SOS take care of it. Right.
I make a motion then that we have election related to the constitutional amendment. Special election to be held May the 7th, 2022.
Exactly.
All in favor? We all get to autograph this one. Court to consider interlocal agreement with Dawson County for the housing of Dawson County inmates in the Scurry County Jail facilities. There's a contract in here, and the only reason it came through here is because when Dawson County did it, I'll get to that page. It says approves for signature of Scurry County Judge in the Commissioner's Court of Scurry County. So, we've had these before with other counties holding their inmates, keeping their inmates. Brings revenue in.
It does. And I assume that Mike has already vetted it and feels good about it. And you're ready to sign it. I make a motion that we accept the contract with Dawson County inmates and let the judge sign it.
All in favor? Y'all getting ready for lunch.
No kidding.
I'll get this one back to you in just a little bit.
Okay.
Hold on with that. Court to consider proclaiming April as National 911 Public Education Month. This proclamation, and we have Savannah with us today. We She's a 911 operator. Whereas 911 is nationally recognized as the number to call in an emergency to receive immediate help from police, fire, emergency medical services, or other appropriate emergency response entities. And whereas 911 was designated by Congress as the national emergency call number under the Wireless Communications and Public Safety Act of 1999. And whereas the Enhanced 911 Act of 2004 established Enhanced 911 as a high national priority as part of our nation's homeland security and public safety. And whereas people of all ages use 911 and it is critical to educate the public of all ages on the proper use of 911. And whereas a growing segment of the population, including the deaf, hard of hearing, deaf, blind, and individuals with speech disabilities, increasingly communicate with non-traditional text, video, and instant messaging communications services, and anticipate that these services will be able to connect directly to 911. And whereas thousands of 911 calls are made every year by children properly trained on the use of 911, resulting in lives saved, which underscores the critical importance of training children early in life about 911. And whereas there is widespread misuse of the 911 system, including prank and non-emergency calls, which can result in costly and inefficient use of 911 and emergency response resources. Now therefore, Commissioners Court of Scurry County do hereby proclaim April 2022 as National 911 Education Month. We call upon all government officials, parents, teachers, school administrators, caregivers, business leaders, nonprofit organizations, and the people of the almost made it. And the people of the United States to observe this month with training, events, and activities to educate the public on 911 and its services. I, having been there, can attest how important the dispatchers in 911 are, and they're very important. They save a lot of lives, and so you are very appreciated. So I will make the motion to proclaim April as 911 National 911 Education Month here in Scurry County.
Judge, for next year, I'd like to see us add to that resolution that all fees collected to support 911, because it is so important, go to that special fund and be utilized by it. Because it's not always done. The fees that are special fees the legislature does not always appropriate all that money to what we're being charged. And I think that's very important that it would be.
Okay. Did you second? Okay. All in favor? Thank you, Savannah. And thank all of y'all. Court to discuss and consider going out for bids on a 2004 Econoline van at the senior center.
So moved.
That's a move.
That's a move, I'll second it.
Sean's
All
getting
in
hungry.
favor? Thank you, Tammy. Court to discuss and consider rental agreement for a propane tank to operate the emergency generator and hear an update on the repeater tower and building. Mr. Jason.
Did you get that 20 page slideshow? My presentation on the. No.
Judge, it's a little.
No, I don't. All right, so the propane container that was out at the tower site, we put propane in it, it failed. Legacy in the past has served that. So we called them up and said, hey, well, they actually put propane in it, and they said that they would not service it. So I fixed it by getting into a lease agreement, and then Andrew was like, hey, you might want to go in commission. We're already entered into a lease agreement with Legacy Fuels for that propane tank. It's out of the repeater tower, and the old tank is still sitting there. I don't know who it belongs to. It was way before my time, but we needed something emergent to be able to run the generator at the repeater site. If you haven't actually been to our repeater site, there's an oil derrick right next to it with a whole bunch of dirt piled up right next to our building. I'm not happy about it, but
we're still able to get in and out of the building, we just can't go around the building like we did before. Who is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Bunch of big equipment.
I think I know who it is.
I don't know who.
Yeah, because they don't need it.
No, they need to move that dirt, but I don't know who to contact about it. I know I've notified the sheriff about it. But, I think she's actually seen it. Anyway, if you haven't been out to the repeater site, the lights are out, and we've notified the FAA, and, we've got a, support ticket into Southwest Communications to fix that. The lights on top of the tower, they go out occasionally, but for some reason, they're going out more frequently than they should be, so we're supposed to look into that as well. So, anyway, that's the update on the.
Did you send me that contract? I don't remember.
No, I just gave, oh, yes, I
The
did.
lease agreement for the
Okay.
propane.
Yes, you signed for it, actually.
I'm assuming this doesn't have any certain years, or you can get out of it anytime you want to.
I believe so. Yeah, I think it's actually a 1 year agreement, maybe. I don't know.
What's the cost per month?
I don't know.
Why is the tank rendered unusable?
Because it was leaking out of every valve it had on it.
Those are repairable.
Okay.
I'll look at it.
I'll have you look at it sitting at the repeater site.
Okay.
Off to the side.
Okay.
So,
It depends on the contract.
Angela's got the contract.
It's in my office, I'll have it. It's in there.
I'd like a copy of it, please.
Do you know how much the lease is?
No, we told him he needed to bring it to court, because all his friends
That's
didn't
my
come to
fault.
court.
I didn't print it and get it out.
I'm assuming it's probably
It's like $300.
$15 a month.
I think we paid for it all up front. I think it was like $300. If I remember right.
For the whole year.
Yeah, it wasn't.
You could have repaired the tank for that. Okay, I'll look at it.
Okay, since it's already.
Has anything to do with propane, contact me first, please. I'll help you out.
Okay.
For free?
Works for me.
Thank you.
All right, we will table that or revisit that at a later date.
Well, the bill's gotta be paid at some point, I guess, or I guess you guys don't pay it, and then legacy bills could come out and get the propane tank, but it runs propane to the emergency generator.
Yeah.
So if we go down tonight for bad weather, that propane supplies fuel to that generator.
Okay.
So if you're gonna fix it now. If
Fix
you're gonna
what?
pay for it then.
Well, if you got into a one-year contract, you've got no choice but pay for it.
No, I haven't, no.
Yeah.
I can get out of it.
We
If
have,
we don't pay the bill, they're gonna come get their tank.
no, we can't do
Yeah, we can, we have an
that.
agreement.
They don't trust you.
It's not binding, I don't care at this point. But we gotta provide fuel to the propane, the generator. We haven't, it hasn't gone through commissioner's court unless you guys vote on it, and what the commissioners, what I've always been told is it's not binding until it goes through commissioner's court.
It hasn't been paid yet. It's in payable. It should be paid today. We wouldn't pay it until it came through court.
Did they charge you to deliver the tank?
They charge us to put propane in the tank.
No, did they charge you for delivering it and
Let's
setting
go
it
back and
up?
look at it, I don't.
Okay.
It was the tank set, right?
Yep.
$350. Legacy Fuels tank sets in the packet today that we emailed y'all Friday. On there.
$350 for fuel?
Says maintenance, repair, miscellaneous tank set. It's for the emergency, generator and all of that, so it's under the 409.
So it's not itemized. We don't know what we paid for the fuel and separate for
It's in
the
the office.
setting up the tank. Okay.
I know what we paid for the fuel and we paid for the tank set. It's in an invoice at the office.
What do you want
And
to
it
do?
was signed off on the
Oh,
initial
yeah.
as well.
We don't, I don't think we've got a choice. I mean, number one, you've got to repair the tank that's there because it shouldn't be utilized if it's leaking.
Mhm.
If it's small leaks, they're all out there in the tank on earth that doesn't leak some. I don't know why they didn't offer to repair your tank, but
Because
It doesn't matter.
It wasn't their tank.
Well, I'll tell
it
you
doesn't
this.
matter.
I'll tell you this, when
They
we,
wouldn't fix it. I
They're
tried.
you're their customer.
I get it, but that's the excuse that they told me, is that it's not our tank, we don't want
on this thing, you're just doing what they're sharing with you. That's not your fault.
I'll tell you this, when he brought it to me, because it's the emergency generator,
Mhm.
I went ahead and signed off
Absolutely.
on it. I never gave it another thought as far as
Don't blame you.
you doing propane and looking at it.
Well,
So
I
that's
mean-
my mistake. That's not on Jason. That's.
No, it's really Legacy's mistake, because if your customer's tank is leaking, you don't just go out and tell them you're gonna lease a tank from us, or that's not the way it's done. Well, I guess for that company it is. It shouldn't be a tank that's got a good data plate on it that is not leaking through the shell of the tank and it's repairable. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay,
Well, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the lease.
second.
All in favor? All right, court to consider certification of additional revenues in the form of donation, what did I miss?
That actually, was not supposed to be on this agenda. That's supposed to be on the 19th agenda because that's revenue that y'all have to accept first as a donation.
Oh, okay. Right.
And then the budget amendment that goes along with that is also for the April 19th.
All right, so we will bring that back up.
Yes.
Then. Okay.
But there was one more, H.
H. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, court to discuss and consider EMS applying for extraordinary emergency fund grant and approval of judge to sign paperwork for Samuel Ford.
Thank you. So this is another hand slap on me. I went ahead and already applied for this grant, when I was in the office on March 10th. I really didn't think I'd get it, but I did. And in addition to, so I didn't ask for your approval to apply for it first, you know what I'm saying? But I applied for it, and I got it, in the tune of about 217,000, and some change. And it's going to include a Type 1 mini mod ambulance that's built out of Canada, the demo unit, as well as an engine and frame replacement for Medic 4 at no cost.
That's no hand slap.
So,
That is something that we've mandated you to do for years, to find grants, and don't wait until they're gone to get them.
Yeah.
So that's an applause,
Okay.
not a hand slap.
So, I did got some confirmation email that I forwarded to Dan and Angela. And, because I'm moving forward with it, I would like that when the contract does come up, that you allow your Dan or I to sign that contract, unless you'd like Mike to look at it. It's a similar contract that we've done in the past for this grant. I've gotten this grant one other time, I believe. So
If you don't sign it, what do you get?
nothing. You kind of got to sign.
Yeah.
I appreciate you going out for grants.
Thank you.
Ooh, I thought that was great.
Me too. Judge, all I can say is I move we applaud Jason for getting those
It's
grants.
already been done, so.
Thank you.
Consider yourself slapped.
Yeah, thank you.
So has applying for grants, has that been just mandated to?
We
If
have
you
always
have
asked
one.
anybody in this county to please, if you can find a grant, and you should be finding them, you should be looking for them, you should be getting them, you
There's
should be
not
getting
very
them
many
written.
that actually do it.
Don't get a
Jason is
federal
one
grant
that-
that's worth $5,000, because Angela won't like it.
Angela doesn't like any
Let
federal
it,
grants.
let it be 100,000. But other than that,
But it doesn't have to come before Commissioner's Court before they apply.
we've asked
That would
people
be
to do
silly.
it forever.
Good.
Please get it done, and
Yeah.
then we'll approve it if you've got something that's worth having. If you don't, we won't sign the contract.
Sometimes they require court approval.
Sometimes they do, and I've always tried to come before the court and say, hey, I'm fixing to apply for this grant, just letting you all know. I didn't do that.
What if you hadn't have gotten it after you
Still did
waited
good.
to get it, the approval?
It was kind of time sensitive, so.
Yeah,
No worries.
thank you.
It's fine.
It is. Let's go.
Oh, wait, payables, we got pay bills.
Hang on, we
I
need a
know,
motion.
I'm just kidding.
We need a-
The judge is in control.
we need a
Is that
motion.
just, it's a done deal? Okay, just a FYI.
Well, we do need to
Yeah.
approve.
We need to approve
So I'm like,
it.
We do need to
Jason,
That-
applying for
Also for Dan to sign it or Jason
For
to
Dan,
sign
Yeah.
it.
Judge, I make a motion that we approve the grant that's already been gotten. Oh, have you done that? I'm sorry.
That's the first and the second, I
Yeah, it is. Okay.
All in
I
favor?
second your motion.
All right, line item transfers, budget amendment?
No, on either one of those.
Wow.
Just payables.
How about, accounts payables?
Payables, $1,756,342.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Second,
All in favor?
that motion we adjourn.
Second.
Or-
I don't know if I want to vote for that. All in favor?
I'll take
No.